Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Warringah Council meeting for the 18th of March. It's great to have you all here. Welcome everyone who's in the gallery, and pleased that you can be here. There are a few protocols, perhaps is the best way of putting it, for the gallery. No heckling or anything, shouting or things like that you might not agree with. If that does happen, I will be encouraging you to leave the chamber, and I have a good glare, so you'll know that's what it means. And we also have extra support if my glare doesn't work. So, but you are very, very welcome, and we're thrilled that you can be here tonight. We do have an apology from Councillor Bell, and I'd like to begin with our pledge, and if elected members would like to stand for that. We recognise the city's considerable natural and cultural heritage, including thousands of years of traditional ownership by Ghana, and the more recent contribution from people either born here or who have migrated here. As we meet together, we build on this heritage by respecting and listening to each other, thinking clearly, being receptive to new ideas, speaking honestly, and deciding wisely for the current and future well-being of those we serve. Thank you. So we do, as I said, we do have a leave of absence request from Councillor Bell for the period of 1st of March to the 19th of May. Do I need to move it for that? Just pop back to conclusion. Oh, sorry. I'm ahead of myself here. Confirmation of minutes. Councillor Loaded. Happy to move. Thank you very much. Councillor Platten, you second?
Second.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. Apologies for that. Now we will move into leave of absence for Councillor Bell. Councillor Platten, in moving that? Thank you. Councillor Loaded. Happy to second. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks, everyone. We'll be sure to pass that on to her. The next item is the Mayor's report. Councillor Wilkes.
Oh, excellent. I would like to move as written. I just wanted to quickly speak to it. I just wanted to say that it was a really fabulous report, and it was really interesting and in-depth, and I loved all of the letters that were attached to it. I think I'm in full support as well for the letter that talks about providing the local government, our local government, with the NIPD distribution program, and it was great to see all the events that you did there. You were often there 3 or 4 times a day, and the International Women's one were such a fabulous one. I thought the project updates were great, and I really appreciate such a comprehensive report. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkes. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll second it. Nothing to say.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. I'll try to keep you entertained again next month. We do have a number of deputations this evening, and just to let everyone in the gallery know, each deputation is 8 minutes, and you'll hear a bell if you're giving the deputation 2 minutes before the end. So it's just a warning bell. It's not going to cut you off straight away, and you'll be given the opportunity to have questions asked of you, of the councillors. And our first deputy tonight is Jonathan from Operation FLINDERS, who meets the height requirement for most sports, I believe. So very welcome, Jonathan. It's great to have you here. And I think we've got a YouTube clip as well. So if you'd like to let us know when you would like to play that, that'd be great. So very welcome. Your time is all yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to come along to present about the Operation FLINDERS program, which we have a very long and extensive history involved with our program connected to the City of Warringah. For those members who may not be as familiar with Operation FLINDERS, if you could show the short video to start with, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Sometimes it's difficult to see the way forward, to know which way to turn. But when you're given an opportunity to take a step in a new direction and explore new horizons, you take it. It's an opportunity to test your own limits, to face your fears, to go new places, meet new people, learn new skills. dream new dreams. And at the end of it all, we'll leave our old selves behind and step into a brighter future. We may not know exactly what's around the corner or down the track, but we'll get there, one step at a time.
As you can see from the footage, our program is based in the Northern Flinders Ranges of South Australia. I'll just listen a bit. And what we do is offer a unique outback adventure therapy program for young people who have difficulties. They may be having challenges in their lives for all sorts of reasons, whether it be in their home, in their schools, perhaps in their communities. So Operation Flinders works with the young people and takes them up to the Flinders Ranges for an 8-day expedition, where over the course of the 8 days, young people walk around 80 kilometres. You saw the hiking and the terrain that the young people walk through there. It's pretty rough and rugged and challenging. But the idea of what we do is to instill confidence and leadership and build resilience and connection and strive for ambition for the young people who may not believe that they're capable of achieving perhaps truly what they are capable of achieving. So we run 5 programs in the Flinders Ranges each year for about 80 young people on each particular program. So over the course of a year, we'll average around 400 young people participating each year. And as I mentioned in the opening, we have a really strong connection with schools and agencies based here in the city of Onkaparinga. So I'll just touch on a few of the schools who have participated over many years from the council region. And I include the Christie's Beach High School, Wirrianda Secondary School, the Wirrianda Wave program, WILLUNGA High School, Seaford Secondary College, Aberfoyle Park High School, Mission Australia, and this is an acronym, SCAPE, Southern Collective Alternative Education Program, and FAME, Flexible Alternative Meaningful Education. So over the course of 15 plus years, probably closer to 20 years, we've supported over 200 young people from the city of Onkaparinga to participate in our program, and we know we've seen some fantastic outcomes as a result of that. Last year was a significant milestone for Operation Flinders. We achieved our 10,000th participants since the program started way back in 1991. So a big milestone for Operation Flinders. And as it turned out, the team from the Seaford Secondary College were the team that helped us tip us over to the 10,000 participant mark. So some very significant milestones there. As a result of completing the Operation Flinders program, young people achieved their SACE recognition. So they achieved 20 Stage 1 SACE credits. The most common referral factor for young people through their schools is disengagement from school. So because there's SACE outcomes attached to our program, the Operation Flinders program is a very strong incentive for young people to remain in school and strive to complete their Year 12 schooling. One of the questions we get asked a lot is what happens after the 8 days? What happens when they come back to their schools and to their environment? So we run a program called the Next Step program. And years ago, I said the Next Step program was a nice thing to have. Now I refer to it as a must-have. So we provide personal development, leadership opportunities, employment pathways for young people to build on the skills that they've learned on Operation Flinders. So some of the activities include a Duke of Edinburgh, the Youth Leadership Award, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We help facilitate that program. We offer a Certificate 2 in outdoor recreation to the young people, which also provides SACE recognition. We offer weekly training weekends in bushcraft and navigation for the students when they come back. Barista training, which is pretty popular, the coffee making. So one of our partners helps to facilitate a barista training course. And there's all sorts of other activities, guest speaking, environmental projects up at the station where we operate our program, and young people can also have the opportunity to participate in the Kokoda track, which we completed 2 years ago, and we'll be doing another one of those this year. Just to conclude, I'm mindful of time. A story of a young lady who completed the Operation Flinders program 2 years ago from the Wirrianda Wave program, so an agency within the City of Onkaparinga Council region. This young lady went through the program, as I said, She remained involved in our Next Step program. She completed her Certificate 2 in Outdoor Recreation. She completed a barista training course with us. She has attended numerous training weekends, whether it be down at Kaipo Forest, Victor Harbour, the Adelaide Hills, a number of weekends to build on the skill that she'd learnt. She has also spoken at Operation Flinders fundraising events, and she also joined our Youth Advisory Committee. So last year we established a Youth Advisory Committee to help, I guess, gain some feedback from the young people as to what sort of activities they might like to see as part of the Next Step follow-up program. So this is a young lady who was struggling in school, that was lacking confidence, to 18 months, 2 years later, is doing all these fantastic things as a result of the involvement with Operation Flinders, and ultimately the support from the council region here as well. So that's probably enough for me for the moment. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and share with you our program, but also updates locally and the impact that the council support is having locally on schools and young people within your region. So thank you very much, Mary, once again.
Thank you. And I'm just going to take some questions, if that's all right, but to you.
Yeah.
Councillor Eaton.
Thank you, Jonathan, for your presentation. It is a brilliant program, having actually done the walk myself a number of times as an assistant team leader. To see the change on those kids, or the challenges for those children during the walk, and then to actually see them afterwards is absolutely brilliant. And, okay, we have runners at times and things like that, but it really is a great program, and it does give those kids that experience that really changes their lives. And I really do thank you guys for what you do. Thank you.
Councillor Platten, who has been on Operation Flinders.
Yeah, just for the weekend, and it was an amazing experience. And I second what Councillor Eaton spoke of. My real question is around how much it costs the organisation to send a child or a young adult to do the course for the week.
For one young person to go through the program, it's $4,700. So for a team of 10, 47,000. Those costs add up fairly quickly when you consider backpacks, sleeping bags, medical supplies, food, vehicle hire, station utilities, internet, insurance, training programs for our volunteers, all the preparation at our warehouse that goes in behind the scenes to run the program. 4,700 adds up fairly quickly, but we see it, and we've seen numerous examples where it's been an investment in the young person's future, where it's diverted young people away from perhaps a negative pathway in life onto a far more positive pathway. So we work hard to raise our funds, but we believe very sincerely in this program and the outcomes that it achieves for the young people.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher, who's also had the opportunity to be out.
Thank you, Jonathan, for your presentation. And yeah, it was a most satisfying and enjoyable experience when I went up with Dan. My question follows on from Dan's. So 2 elected members from the city are able to attend with approval. I just wondered about the cost associated with that. How much does it cost to send 2 elected members up there for the weekend?
Cost per person for the visitors is around $650. That includes the flights up there and our food and accommodation that we provide to the members or to the visitors as well. So we have sometimes government people, councillors, sponsors, people who are interested in getting involved in our organisation. Yes, there's an investment on behalf of the organisation, but the investment we have found that over many years has well and truly paid for itself in terms of ongoing support from those people or organisations who have been up there and seen what we do, and ultimately come back and said we want to support in various ways.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you so much for your deputation. It was fabulous. It looks like an absolutely beneficial experience for everyone involved. I was just wondering, how many times a year do you run the program, or what sort of the?
We run 5 programs each year, and our first one is coming up in May, and then we run them every 4 to 6 weeks through to mid to late October. So we have to align ourselves with the school terms, with the turnaround time from our point of view to prepare for the programs and the exercises, given the logistical size of them, and also the weather is a big factor as well. We certainly don't want to be doing too much up there at the moment or in the later part of the year, given the heat up in the far northern Flinders ranges. So we've got a fairly tight timeframe to run 5 programs, plus all the 5 activities that we do once the teams come back as well. So there's a very much a jam-packed year of activities, both the program itself and all the follow-up work we do with the young people, plus our training volunteers and so on as well.
Excellent. I have 2 more questions. One is, how many kids do you take on each program?
On each one, it's about 80 on each program. So times that by 5, that's around 400, give or take, each year. So each program can have up to 10 schools up there at one particular time, and that could be the Christie Beach High School, or it could be the WILLUNGA High School, or it could be the Roxby Downs School. So they will nominate at the start of the year to join one of our programs, and then we allocate each school to each particular program as well. So we have 9 or 10 teams on each particular program, times that by 5.
Cool. And then one last question. Do you have boys and girls together? Do you separate? How does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on the referrals through the school. So the school will refer their students or their young people. Sometimes it's boys teams, sometimes it's girls teams, sometimes it's mixed gender teams as well. And we allocate our leaders and our volunteers accordingly to manage those situations. So females are around 40% in total, males are about 60% in total of the referrals through their schools.
Thank you so much. Councillor Platten.
Thank you so much. Another couple of questions. Is it always schools that refer young people?
Majority are schools, but there's other youth-based agencies as well. And I mentioned a couple based here in Onkaparinga as well, but it could be private schools, public schools, youth agencies, but also we do have individual referrals as well. And that's where young people might not necessarily be going to school, or a school engaged in school, not necessarily involved in our program. So we can take the individual referrals up onto our program as well, which is a new initiative. We identified a gap that we were missing, and so we've implemented that 3 years ago, as well as the school-based referrals.
Okay, great. And if a member of the public or a business wanted to donate to your organisation, how would they do that?
Through me. We have a website that's quite clearly says how to donate, and if there's interest from a business or the community to support in some capacity, happy for that to go through council and then back through to me if there's interest to do so.
And these meetings are recorded, so you can do a clip on YouTube and have that reach there. Councillor Greaves.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jonathan, for your presentation. And yeah, I concur with some of the commentary about the experience. Went up 4 or 5 years ago with Councillor Eaton, I think it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Volunteers. So I'm in a CFS brigade, and a couple of our key volunteers are also volunteers with Operation Flinders. Can you give us some sort of idea of, I guess, how you are going in terms of volunteer activity and the sort of skills that you're actually looking for?
Yeah, I guess if we're having a challenge at the moment, it's with our volunteering to resource all the programs and provide leadership up on the program as well. So volunteering with Operation Flinders takes place in a couple of ways. There's one in our warehouse on a weekly basis to help prepare for the programs. The other main one is actually up on the program itself, and that's as the team leader, or as Jeff has done, the assistant team leader role, and also various base camp roles, which have operational roles and logistical roles as well. The requirements are fairly thorough from our point of view, as you can probably imagine, working with young people. We need to have make sure we have the absolute clearances, first aid checks, police clearances, mandated notification, child safe clearances, and so on. But we also provide an extensive level of training for our volunteers to make sure they're well equipped for all the activities and all the situations that may occur up in the Flinders Ranges as well. So there's a bit of a pipeline that's that we have in terms of nominations. And by the time they get up to the Flinders Range, it could be 12 months later, because they might be starting a new job, and the training program takes a few months as well. So I guess that's our biggest challenge at the moment is sourcing volunteers to be able to fulfill the various roles up there.
Thank you. Councillor Platten, one more question.
So many questions. My maths could be incorrect, but around 50 groups a year. Correct. At the moment. Yep. Does the organisation see this growing in the medium to long term, or are you really happy with where you're at?
In terms of programs itself and the number we can run, we're probably at capacity with 5 programs per year. We might be able to sneak in 1 or 2 more teams per program to respond to the demand. We have 7 or 8 teams / schools who at the moment are on a standby list because our demand exceeds the number of positions available. So I can't see us in the short term, at least anyway, expanding our number of programs. Perhaps the way to expand might be the number of teams per program, which will still fulfil a need within the SA community.
Councillor Dew.
Thank you for your presentation. It's a wonderful program. I wondered about, I wanted to clarify, is it also a diversionary program from Youth Justice? I thought you used to take young people in the diversionary measure.
It certainly can be, yeah. And we receive 12% of our funding through the Attorney General's Department, and that's as a youth diversionary initiative, a crime prevention initiative. So several, not all, but some young people are certainly heading down that path who are referred to our program. So it's we provide statistics and reporting back to the Attorney General's Department in terms of our outcomes and data and risk factors and school retention. That is really important for them to continue their support of Operation FLINDERS.
Great, thank you. And just my other question, I guess given the economic climate, it could be hard for organisations to provide a financial contribution. So I wondered if there's any other ways or any other means that organisations might be able to support the organisation.
Sure, yes. So there's volunteering, as we mentioned, if people promote volunteering in their workplace. We run some fundraising events each year. Chris and I just recently, we've got a major event coming up in September, a few months away, but our largest fundraising event where we encourage business and corporate organisations to get involved in it. It's a one-day walk, so it's not the 8 days, but it's a one-day walk from Adelaide up to Mount Lofty Summit and then down to Woodhouse as a fundraiser for Operation FLINDERS. And people can provide in-kind support as well. We have food donated, we have vehicle service at a reduced rate. So there's all sorts of ways people can provide in-kind support as well.
Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, just the other thing, I think probably the membership. You might inform the Chamber on membership. Are we still running the program with the Northern Territory, or has that stopped?
No, we finished doing that about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So we've had some teams coming down from the Northern Territory to our station in the Flinders Ranges. So once that agreement was ceased, they were advised by the government they wanted to provide local solutions for the young people they were working with. Membership is $40 for to join and to keep up to speed with all things that are happening with Operation FLINDERS.
And just the final one, the volunteer side of things. Apart from doing the exercises, there's the volunteers in the warehouse. You might like to give people an idea of that too. Thank you.
Sure. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are our volunteer days in our warehouse, which we're soon to be moving to Richmond. We're currently in Edwardstown, we'll be moving to Richmond, and that's a very much a hands-on day. It could be packing food boxes, it could be cleaning buses, it could be washing out tents that have been used from a training weekend, it could be fixing a trailer, it could be doing all sorts of things to from an operational perspective, and make sure what we're doing, or to ensure that we can do what we do from a logistical perspective and operation perspective up at the station. So it's a cliche, but without the volunteers, we simply couldn't do what we do.
Thank you. There are no further questions waiting for you here. Thank you very much, and please send our best to everyone who works in Operation FLINDERS and supporting our young people. Next deputation this evening is Christine Greaves, if you'd like to make your way up to the front. And this relates to an item for petition, which is item 12.1 on our agenda. You're all very welcome to come up. You have 8 minutes between you, so how you want to use that 8 minutes is your business. And once you're settled in here, you are welcome to, so the same thing applies. You're at the 6 minute mark, you'll hear a bell, and I will cut you off at 8 minutes, and you can also answer questions if you like from the councillors. So off you go.
I'm a little bit PowerPoint illiterate.
That's all right, we can arrow. Just the arrow. Yep, off you go. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the petition for our proposed development at the Trough Reserve, Seaford. My name is Christine Greaves. I've lived in the city of Onkaparinga for over 12 years. I have 4 children attending 2 campuses at Cardine College and am the proud owner of mobile coffee business, The Coffee Trough, which I've operated in the Seaford area for over 5 years. Many of you would be aware of my history in the area from my last deputation and the space that was embraced by the local community at my residence at 63 Tiller Drive. Allow me to share what is driving this proposal for a safer, more accessible community space along our patch of Esplanade. Firstly, congestion issues. Speak to any surfer, runner and cyclist and they will tell you what it's like on the footpath on any given trading morning at coffee o'clock. As you can see, when the surf is good, Tiller Drive has an overflow of cars spilling down the street due to the significantly reduced size of the car park. People stand around either waiting to order or pick up their order. Of course, they bump into friends, want to sit down with the family to eat their bacon and egg rolls, where I put seating out in the car park in front of the van. Particularly on weekends and public holidays, these lineups are commonplace. The solution, as far as we can see, the only logical solution to these issues would be to move the permit location out of the car park. We'll have a look at some safety concerns. I was taking this photo, the one in the middle, crouched on the footpath. I moved to one lane as there was a jogger coming by, and as I was crouched, seconds later, I heard the sound of bike tyres and quickly had to jump up as a guy flew past without ringing his bell. I've actually witnessed an elderly lady go head first over her handlebars after a customer who was leaning against the fence waiting for an order didn't see her coming. I've called it out and she has gone head over and her husband was livid. She, again, didn't ring her bell. Safety is the main reason why I've not removed the permit location from this proposal, because it's where the people gather. As much as seating, shelter and a little nature play space alone would be a wonderful win for the community to use, it wouldn't address these issues. But also, how good would it be if a pizza van or burger van could set up there on an arvo or evening and families could enjoy their time outdoors, kids running around off screens before bedtime while parents sit and enjoy sunset and a peaceful moment. Here's some photos of the current site. It is hardly utilised and in major need of some TLC. Now, these are some examples of the work of Natural Style Building Co. Scott, who's behind me, he'll be sharing, so you can ask him any questions, all built to Australian standards, and he's previously worked with councils and schools. Here's some examples from a recent trip to WA, just for ideas' sake, of how they've actually created these spaces within parklands and put signs up. And Jubilee Park, of course, an example of community collaboration and a permit location next to a grass area out of a car park, which is, much nicer when you've got lots of families around. Lastly, can I speak to the elephant in the room? This is not for personal financial gain. I am only on site at the permit location around 24 hours of the week, which includes setup and pack down. I've just dropped a day of trading as I could not sustain the workload and the demand. I don't need more business. But even if it did, and I was thinking about this, I thought even if it did, and other food vendors were getting extra business as well as myself, is this not within the council's own community plan for economic growth, local business and tourism? People, places, prosperity and performance. I put to council why some sort of financial gain could be deemed as a negative thing when it's a win for local family enterprise, leading to employment opportunities, as well as increasing engagement in local families in the area. Did you know that many local students do work experience with me, which is always lots of fun, not to mention creating more facilities and engagements for tourists along Route 31. These are all the businesses. I won't go through that now, and I will pass on to Mr. Byrne from Cardine College.
Good evening, Mayor Moira and councillors. A couple of capacities in which I speak this evening. Firstly, as a surfer of the last 40 years, when my wife and I moved here, and particularly at the Trough, and now as you can see from the thing on my face, it's early morning only. I thank the council for the work they have done over the years. The new staircases, widening the footpath, fixing the car park, which had to be withdrawn from the cliff because of erosion, but it halved the car park. It made it actually more dangerous than it used to be. It also means that if you want to set a business up in there, there is not enough room to, as you saw with all the cars. There's now an online Facebook page, because we're older, which puts out an SOS, all car parks full on the mid-coast when there's a surf or it's a nice day, or the park runs on a Saturday morning. So the residents are being inconvenienced by the parking that goes on there. My second capacity as principal of Cardine College is to offer our support through our technical training college, Marsland Training College just down the road, our students are able to construct, maintain and adopt this spot. There is already a program that runs on the Mid-Coast called Adopt a Spot, which is around litter and particularly cigarette butts and retaining small plastics out of the ocean. We're very happy to take this on as our community project because we really align with the family nature of this family spirit of building community. It's part of what we do, and a lot of our kids live locally, and we could take this on and work with council. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. I'm Scott Reynolds, small builder from Seaford. I moved here a couple of years ago from Glenelg. I'll cut it short, don't have much time, but I think it'll be a good idea to provide a play-space area to provide a fun distraction for most people whilst waiting for coffee or on a walk. There's a lot of unused space along the Esplanade and a lot more people venturing down these days for the weekend, whether it be walking, running or riding. And it'll be a perfect break spot for people. Fenced off area would be good because last year we actually got our dog hit on the Esplanade in the same spot. He survived, but the blink of an eye, he just ran across the road. Everyone's hooning along flat out. The owner of my building company, I've offered to donate a couple of picnic tables for this space. Also offered to manage, build and organise the project alongside Christine and our friends, and hoping everything gets passed through so we can start our community fundraising to help contribute to all of our other donations. Yeah, we love where we live and appreciate the space for us all to share. So, thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kerry McClatchy. I've lived in the area, Old Estate Moana, for the last 40 years. Since 2018, I've been doing Moana Park Run. I've seen the area grow. I've seen everything that the council has done for the area. The coffee trough is just another bonus along the coast for us. It does impact slightly on the park runners and people using the path. This idea that Christine has would be amazing. People meet at the trough, they chat, they catch up with their mates. It causes a little bit of congestion. And this could just be another beautiful little garden area that as I walk past every second or third day, I'll be happy to pick up litter, water a tree, prune a tree for the area, for the community. That's what we're all about.
Thank you. Time's up. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your presentations. I'll just see if there are questions. Councillor Wilkes.
Yes.
And perhaps if you can direct, if you can identify who you wish to answer the question, or they might decide for themselves.
Perfect. I will ask Christine. Thank you so much for your deputation. It's a great spot there. You do great coffee. It is, yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. Aside from the perceived view that this proposal is only for benefiting yourself for financial gain, how do you see this benefiting the community?
I think I see two, I guess, the pictures in my head. One, like when I'm not there, and I love seeing people like hang out down the trough. Like there's the table at the lookout, which is nice, and people kind of, at sunset go down there. Yeah, but seeing like people, kids, like mums, dads hanging out there, they've ordered pizza or whatever, and the sun's setting and the kids are, running along a little log run or whatever and just hanging out. So just being like, I'm really passionate about getting kids, outside away from screens. Secondly, I see when I am there, I guess, yeah, people hanging out, like it just how it happens now, I guess, but in a space where people don't feel like they're in the way of everyone else. There's dogs and prams and bikes and everything going on, and where they can talk and just relax. So, they're watching their kids playing, or, like the dogs, there's more space to kind of spread the dogs out, because as with dogs, it can be unpredictable. And yeah, just a place that people can just enjoy and relax and enjoy, yeah, the Esplanade on the coast.
That sounds a lot nicer than the dirt sandy path patch we saw. Okay, so this is your second petition to council. Your first one had close to 950 signatures. This one's got around 250. Can you please explain the relationship between the two?
Okay, so the first petition was done relating to when I opened at 63 Tiller Drive, and so that was a petition to request that we could reopen that because we were asked to cease trading because of complaints. That is really what drove this petition, because just seeing the need in the community, seeing there's so many lonely people, so many like people who are on NDIS, they would get their carers to bring them by because they felt like it was a safe place. You know, just thinking, how can we recreate this? Because there was such a need, and a lot of those people, you know, couldn't come through anymore. I couldn't just meet people like retirees with the little kids and everyone interacting, and just, yeah, kind of thinking, how can we recreate this? And I guess in my mind, you know, yeah, hopefully it would be feasible.
Cool. I can see all of the community donors up there, and I've heard from two of them. So there is a lot of donations mentioned in the proposal. Do you think they'll actually put pen to paper? How can we hold them accountable?
Yeah, that's a process, yeah, that Scott and I are happy to work through. Yeah, just finding out. I guess, you know, because the businesses as well, they're like, yes, we want in. None of us know what it'll look like. So I guess that's a discussion that we'll all need to have, and just kind of going, you know, these are the suppliers, and that might actually be a good question for Scott.
Oh, okay. Scott, did you want to take that one? Just how are we going to know that you're willing to put forth your service?
I'm happy to, you know, write down whatever I need to, price up the job so we can figure out how much it's going to cost. You know, and try and focus on getting donations to cover that. And obviously, you know, with help from Steve at the school, getting stuff through the kids, whatever they can add, you know, programs to plant, or, you know, water everything or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you all for coming in tonight.
Councillor Themilotis.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions, and thank you for your deputation. Christine, you talked about spending 24 hours a week at this location. Would you be expecting some exclusive rights to use this spot, or if another coffee van came and wanted the same time that you wanted, you would move on and allow other businesses to utilise the space?
Absolutely first in, first served. Perfect. With all of the permit locations, yeah, absolutely.
My second question, which is probably following on a little bit from Councillor Wilkes, is the aim here, because I'm looking at your deputation, the aim is to have this area completely funded by community. So all these bits that's the main.
Yeah, so super basic, simple, just seating, shelter, which everyone kind of laughs at the gazebo. Mm-hmm. I think I put those up. Yeah, because obviously it does nothing in the rain. Yeah, seating, shelter, and a little something to entertain the little kids. So, you know, parents.
So no request of council funding towards the project?
Sorry?
No request for council funding towards the project?
Yeah, so yeah, I think because it's super basic, and these companies, so and I think Scott's got access to a sawmill, is that correct? Yeah. And as well as like ringing around like quarries and stuff for limestone donations. So yeah, looking at it all being donated, and I guess from council's perspective, them just ticking off on the fact that it's all to, you know, spec and that kind of thing.
My next question is around council's open space strategic management plan, which we've been consulting on. Did you participate in that? Because we're looking at all our open spaces at the moment.
Yeah, I think I wrote in, and I received an email back from, I don't remember his name. Sorry.
No,
and I think he didn't really understand what I was saying. So I said, I've actually got a petition before council. And so then I think he kind of just shumped it off to someone else.
Okay, all right. And final question is around the conversations you've had with council staff, and what have they said to you about this proposal? Thank you.
Yes, I haven't chatted to any council staff, in relation to the open space planning and permits, and I met with Chris Picton and Lauren Ju in August last year. We discussed about meeting with like community development permits and open space planning, just to see, what would be feasible. But I haven't directly talked to any department.
Thank you. Councillor Ju.
Thanks, Christine. Your presentation was extremely compelling tonight. What it sounds like is infrastructure, but what I think it is actually community development. And I wondered if you might be aware that council grants are on hold at the moment, but if you consider the grants process through council previously, and I'm not sure if something will fit, but have you considered the grants process?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So they're looking at reopening the grants next year, or?
Yeah, so it's going to be a decision of this council. We'll have to come to council first, but if it was to begin in July, then there may be some that align with what you're proposing, but I couldn't be sure. And then you've already really highlighted it, but if the organisations that you're working with are willing to work with council's compliance levels and that kind of thing, which seems very clear. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with all the wind ratings and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just a couple of quick questions. Thanks for coming in, Christine. Just in relation to the car park, when I was looking at your slides there was a comment that someone had a crack at you for parking there with taking up. So how many car parks do you normally take up?
So my van, takes up 3 and then 1 for my car. So from what I understand, like I'm allowed to take up 3 parks with my van, and then 1 for my car. So, but on the days when it's really busy, like on a weekend, I'll actually unhitch my van and squeeze my car in so that it just fits in within 3 parks, just to create an extra spot for someone.
Yeah, and thanks. Look, you might not know the exact numbers, but there's obviously been some reconfiguration of that car park because of the coastal adaptation plans and the landfill and that. So how big was it and how big is it now?
It used to be over 70 parks. I'm not exactly sure, but it was over 70 parks and now it's 29 parks.
Okay, significantly reduced, and you're using 3 of them. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further questions. Thank you for coming in, all of you this evening. Appreciate it. Well, next deputation is with Patricia Dundon and Peter Smith from the FLEURIEU Region Initiative. They'd like to make their way down here, and their item for councillors' benefit relates to item 9.4. And same applies. You've got 8 minutes between you, and the bell will ring at the 6-minute mark. Just giving you a 2-minute warning. And thank you for coming this evening, and very welcome. And your time starts now.
Thank you. Is this red thing the up arrow? That's good. Yeah. This proposal seeks access to part of the reserve in SKODA Street, Aldinga Beach, for affordable self-supported rentals for people who are homeless and suffering housing stress. The objectives, we recognise the need to support people suffering housing stress, including families at imminent risk of eviction or in temporary accommodation. And we recognise that we understand that the affordable housing strategy is still being developed and considered by council, but we're trying to look ahead. This is absolutely an Aldinga community generated project, begun in 2016, not 2018, by members of the Aldinga Selects Alliance and other residents. I was a fairly new resident back then. This is my 18th year. In 2018, additional members with specialist experience in housing management and tenant support were recruited, and the Aldinga Housing Alliance was formed. Regional St Vincent de Paul wished to support the proposal, and a further strategic alliance took place with them. 9 years later, original members, including me, are still involved. We haven't given up. The goals of the FLEURIEU Alliance. From first contact, we want potential residents to have support to form or to keep strong community connections. The quality and appearance of their housing will foster acceptance, as it will look like any other recent new build. Support will include advocacy from VALE staff to access local and specialist service as needed. And Wildinga already hosts many non-government and not-for-profit avenues of support. The Wildinga Select Alliance is constantly receiving presentations from people who are new to the area and setting up a new service. So the support focus will be on working alongside individuals and families as they specify their housing and support goals across life domains, and they identify any help needed to achieve them, then actually ensure that the help is forthcoming. And we've listed a few of the types of assistance that might be needed and how they might help. The overall goal is a pathway to housing stability for families and especially their children. Peter will now talk more about the housing aspect.
Thank you, Patricia. I guess like any development such as this, if it is to be a development in the future, it relies on land. And I guess when the FLEURIEU Regional Initiative started back in late 2021, I guess one of the first things we looked at was available land in the southern region. And I guess we looked around, I guess the Wildinga Shopping Centre, we looked at what is now Villawood site, we looked at the Arts Eco Village and various other private and I guess public land around. And at the time we determined that the what was the Renewal SA site at the time, now the Villawood site, was probably the preferred location. Unfortunately, when we spoke to Renewal SA, very much Renewal SA were, I'll use the word yes, Minister, but very much open ears, but we're going through a process and it's maximum money for return to government. So I guess while we did some work with Renewal SA and did a concept, that was really I guess put to bed when it went out to public tender. Mind you, in saying that, what we also did do is send 30-odd letters of introduction to potential developers when that tender process was happening. And we understand that council worked, I guess, diligently with, I guess, Renewal SA at the time and the preferred developer, which is now the developer, around, I guess, various things and acted as an advocate for us at the time, and we thank them for that. So I guess we have looked at all sorts of land. We came up with a concept for the Renewal SA land. Unfortunately, that was sold off. We did approach Villawood after they'd been appointed and had discussions with them a couple of weeks ago. And unfortunately, from our perspective, they're going to develop all the land themselves and weren't prepared to sell any portion of it. So I guess with all that in hand, we were, I guess, scratching our heads as to where we were going to go. We met with council in October 2023 to discuss that. So yeah, we met with council in 2023, and from there, council undertook to, I guess, once again act as an advocate for us in various areas, but also to look at, I guess, its available community land which could assist our project, and I guess ultimately the housing strategy. So I guess in early January 2024, council came back to the FLEURIEU Regional Initiative with a number of sites, and from there, I guess we're at now. For any site to be effective, it needs to have, I guess, 4 key things, and that is proximity to shopping centres, public transport, education, and also, I guess, health and social support services. And I guess that's been critical in our discussion. I guess what are we looking for? Part of the, I guess, the model we have, there's 5 types of housing. There's crisis housing, transition housing, extreme disability, affordable, and lost the last one. We're not aiming for the up end of crisis accommodation. We're clearly looking at the affordable and the social housing. Social is the other type. So social housing is where a tenant will pay 25 to 30% out of their own income, and the rest will come from Commonwealth support. And in affordable housing, it'll be 75% of what the market rent is. To make any situation work, there needs to be a mix of all that. What will we propose?
Peter, I'm going to call out time, I'm afraid, but what I could do is, what else would you like to say as the first question?
Okay. I guess we look forward to, I guess, working with council going forward. We commend you on your housing strategy, and we hope to be part of that housing strategy going forward, and get happy to answer any questions that you do have.
Thank you. And the housing strategy is still in very much development stage. So thank you for reminding us the sorts of things that you would want us to factor into any development around our thinking there. Councillor Themialotis.
Yes. Thank you for your deputation. Just a couple of questions. My first question is, what do you think the support is around the community for this sort of development? Because sometimes this can be seen as quite negative. So I just want to get some ideas of how you feel about that.
There's certainly going to be that element, but over the years we've done as much as we can to engage with the community, beginning with, I suppose, more workers, then with people who are actually receiving services, in particular through our survey. The Ordinga Select Alliance, which I'm part of, has members from government, non-government, schools, youth, and community members. So there's been ongoing information provision through there. From time to time, we put up an update on the community forum in response to questions, and we've also spoken with ABRA. So, we're just trying all the time to get the idea out there and get information back.
Absolutely. My second question is, Patricia, you mentioned in your part of the deputation that these would be supported rentals. Can you explain to me what the supported part is?
That comes from Finnish housing, because housing, as a housing association, it does employ support workers. And I guess they can come from various backgrounds, but the role is actually to sit down and talk to the people who are the tenants and say, what's been happening, what do you want to change, and how can we help you do that? That's basically the role, and to actually make sure it happens, not just talk about it.
Perfect. And Peter, in the end of your part of the deputation, you mentioned council's affordable housing strategy. Have you had any conversations, either Peter or Patricia, any conversations with council around the affordable housing strategy, and have you managed to influence that strategy?
Thank you for that strategy. I guess while we can't personally influence the strategy which council is going to vote on, as Patricia said, we've been part of the Ordinga housing collaboration for a number of years. That has council staff on it. We understand that council as a whole are, I guess, very supportive of supporting its community, particularly when it comes to, I guess, stress around housing. And so we see that it's going hand in hand. And so I guess, yes, we have had active conversation, I guess, with council staff. And I must admit, I guess, where we get to now with, I guess, a report you'll consider later on, SKODA Reserve, very much that has come as a result of, I guess, collaboration and discussion with council, both elected members, the mayor, the CEO, and I guess senior staff.
Councillor Drew.
Thank you for your deputation. I just sort of wanted to be a bit clear that it's an expression of interest process and not that it's, definitely going, the tender would have to be won. Through that community engagement process in which we will vote on tonight, would you be looking at adapting your proposal based on the feedback that you get or we get?
Very much. I guess as an example, the discussions we had with council around SKODA Reserve and I guess other locations, very much we've adapted those conversations already. I guess while those concepts were purely concepts, if we were successful through an expressions of interest, then clearly that's where I guess we'll be sitting down with council and its development plans. Also, I guess the objectives of the housing strategy when it's approved to actually, I guess, address your desires through that housing strategy and I guess the wish there of council, but also, I guess, to assist the community in providing that supportive housing that's needed.
The City of Onkaparinga Community Plan talks about multiple options, diversity in housing stock for residents, depending on, and I just wondered if you've started to consider alignment to that and if the project that you're proposing aligns with the community plan.
I guess what the model we took forward was what we actually conceptually designed at the Renewal SA site. So it's a two-storey, so consistent with residential zone, a two-storey building, apartments, self-contained, but I guess not a housing trust style of just plump and forget. It's around, I guess, landscape support services. And that probably as that second dot point says, we're not about a gated community. We want to be part of, or our submission wants to be part of the community, not isolated from the community.
Sure. The decision we're making tonight is obviously the location is Port Wollonga, but it has an impact on the broader Onkaparinga community. And I just wondered if you could touch on what the benefits you see are for the broader Onkaparinga community.
I'll just quickly start. I think that the project does align with several areas in the community vision. The goals about community, especially the goals about livability and to some extent the environment. So they're obviously a benefit to the broader local community. Peter?
And I actually think if SKODA Reserve does go ahead, it's almost a litmus test case for council and I guess for this type of development. And if it was to be successful, then I see it as a model going forward for other locations. And I know when some of the survey work we did, well, predominantly based around Aldinga, Sellex area, clearly the area around here had a higher, I think it had a higher need from memory. So clearly a model similar to the Aldinga model could be, I guess, rolled out around here as well.
And my last question is, why should council be involved in a project like this?
Councillor, I'll be honest, I think as a organisation, as Patricia said, we've been going for 8-10 years now, and we've come up against every roadblock that is to be put forward. If land like this doesn't become available, then I can see it not going ahead, to be honest. And I guess we did look at private land and the cost of purchasing private land and the returns that you're getting on rent just don't make anything stack up. We're talking, even now, we're talking loans of 30 years to pay back and no developer would go near
it. Councillor Greaves.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter and Patricia, for your deputation tonight. And I think, Peter, you've probably answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. In terms of a model, are you aware of any other kind of community housing, support housing in South Australia that has actually, that this can be based on? Just give us some sort of idea of how it would actually work within an established community?
I'm not the expert on in that area. There are the model we're proposing, which is I guess a support-based model. There are examples on the eastern seaboard of that. I don't know of any in South Australia, but as one of the earlier slides says, part of I guess our overall St Vincent de Paul is St Vincent de Paul Housing, which is a tier 1 developer, and it's currently developing in New South Wales, Tasmania, and obviously would like to do so here. It has the expertise and has that modelling. What we have done as part of some very broad-based financial modelling to see whether things work was to actually put a figure within, I guess, the budget to actually ensure that those support services are there, so the case study manager is there, so that people aren't forgotten.
Right, thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There are quite a few services that use support workers. If you think of all the disability services, you know, the supported housing, not the ones that have residential, but also in mental health in the old days. We had direct care workers, which were based on paramedical aids from domiciliary care, and they would just go to the houses, you know, talk to people, how are you going, what do you need, and also observe and make suggestions. So there are models in South Australia, we will, you know, look to those.
Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. Most of my questions have been answered, but I do have a couple remaining. You sort of mentioned that it needs to be in a certain proximity to the schools and the medical centres. And I was just wondering, is there any plan with your idea to put any services on site?
Council, when you say services, obviously we'll have, I guess, some of those support services for the individual.
Like the financial counselling, the government services and the medical, which is what you said.
I guess what we would look to do, and I think I'd probably elaborate more on the expressions of interest, but very much we would have, I guess, a room set aside, and like counselling room, so to speak, such that they do become in-house services, so to speak, so that a resident doesn't have to go to wherever, you know, to get some financial counselling or psychological counselling. It can be done on site. In saying that, we also need to be mindful of people's privacy, and it may be better in some cases that they do go off site for those things.
Okay, excellent. I had a couple of others, but I think they might. I think I've covered them. So thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thank you. Thank you both, and please thank the rest of the team. I know you are representing a very broad coalition of people, and we really appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you. Especially on the International Social Work Day, I'm very happy about that. Rita is up next, Rita KELLAWAY. The item relates to 9.1, which is the Murray Road reconstruction project. And Rita's also been here before, so she knows the drill about how this all works. And you're very welcome, and off you go.
Thank you. On behalf of the majority of Murray Road residents, we thank you for following due process in the Section 270 review, being professional in your response and enabling us to be represented here tonight to speak to our support for option B with a view to its approval. At the last council meeting, Ben Pasmore and myself presented a detailed argument as to why option B is the preferred option. You'll be very happy to hear that I'm not going to repeat all of that information, as it is there in your memory and in the overwhelming majority response requesting option B from your recent call out for feedback. While 2 respondents expressed preference for option C, we trust that their concern will prove to be unfounded and addressed through the option B should it be approved. To briefly recap our main arguments. Professionally qualified council staff have recommended option B as the safest configuration that will slow the speed of traffic. Data collected shows that in option B, there will be more than adequate car parking for residents and visitors. Option B provides safe on-road car parks along the whole of the road, providing equitable access for all residents. A majority of impacted residents are in favour of option B, evidenced by the Community Engagement Feedback Report dated 20th of May 2024 and the recent consultation. Now that all Murray Road residents have been made aware of the 4 options, you can confidently make your decision with all of the facts and residents' actual views at your disposal. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rita. I'll just see if there are any questions. I know it's not far away from when we heard from you last, so there may not be any, but are there any questions? Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. Okay, now we're moving into the next part of our agenda, which is the reports of committees. It's item 8.1. For those of you who are, I think that's right, yes. That's page 27 on the electronic version. Do I have a mover for the minutes? Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll move those.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher, you seconding?
I second.
Thank you. Any questions, debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 8.2, page 35. This is the Southern Region Waste Resource Authority. Councillor Pritchard. I'd be disappointed if you weren't going to press your button.
Very happy to move as written. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to
Yeah, I'll just speak quickly because Councillor Fisher is just waiting with bated breath.
Excellent.
A couple of points in the constituent council report, which no doubt all of the councillors have read in detail. Just wanted to highlight the diversion rates that are included in there for all waste that is received by SKODA. Now, this at the moment includes, well, always has, but it includes commercial waste and waste from some other council districts, which are not going through our diversion facilities. So one of the potential strategic options going forward to try and increase that diversion number is to look at how we can address that. So we are in our strategic planning portion at the moment. So if you think that those numbers could be higher, then we need to look at diverting some of those other waste streams. And from a financial point of view, be very pleased to know that Budget Review 2 increased the profit for the facility from the original budget, which was 600,000, and we are currently on track for 2.1 million increase. So that will be an increased in kind to the City of Onkaparinga.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fisher. Are you seconding the motion?
Second, thank you.
Any questions?
No.
Do you wish to make it
No.
a debate?
No, thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close? I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, and thanks for all the work that you do on that committee for all of us. Item 9.1 is the Murray Road WILLUNGA Land Reconstruction Project. Do I have someone to move, and what will they be moving? Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move 1, 2.
Which bit of 2? There's some options
sorry.
there. Option.
The first part
the
of
first
2.
one. Yes. So delete the O's.
A's or B's.
Yep.
3 and 4.
Got it. So just want to look on the screen just to be confident that's what your intention is.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is my intent, and I'm
Who
happy
wishes to speak to the motion?
very happy to shortly speak to it. So I think from my perspective, council have tried to take on an enormous amount of perspectives over the last 3 or so months, and have reflected on a decision that they made about this road. They've then gone back out for public consultation with a resounding answer from the community that 81% wanted option B. So as a councillor, I think we have to listen to that. All the options were put on the table, all the information was provided. I feel confident that the consultation was undertaken on numerous occasions, specifically in the last month. So I'm happy to put forward option B. I understand that not everyone in the world agrees, and that there are people that don't agree with that decision. I fortunately or unfortunately don't live on Murray Road, and I have to take the information that I have on hand. So the information I have on hand is we were asked for a review, we gave a review, we had the review, and the review came back and they wanted option B. So I am happy to put that forward.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder or any questions? Councillor Fisher, are you seconding the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Any questions? Any further debate? Councillor Wilkes.
I'd like to debate. Thank you. Okay. I second my co-councillor as the ward responsible for this area. There's been a huge amount of work go into this. It's great to see and know that this project will now be delivered with option B. There was, as Councillor Platten said, 9 out of 16 people who are favourable for option B. There are the 2 people who were strongly against option C. I'm going to take my time to say that this project has taught me a lot as a councillor. We've had some come and go where you can get 100% for a project and it's fabulous and you know everyone's going to be happy. And then we've had some projects where you've got like 82% of people that are happy, and you have to deal with the fact that you can't please everyone, which I find is really hard. The 2 people who are against option B now have lost parking outside of their house. It says in the report that acknowledges that limiting on-street parking has a significant impact on communities' lived experience. However, by incorporating the parking restrictions, we can improve road safety. So again, I read that and think, you know, these people are pretty upset they're losing parking outside of their house. They have elderly members come over. They are going to have to walk across the road. Road safety, though, is so important. So I think I'm just standing here to be a voice for that minority and say this project has been really hard. It's been a difficult one. It's right outside your house. It is, you know, passionate people dealing with a situation that we've made a decision to support the majority. So I hope, you know, it's the right one, and we can tell by the time we've spent in the chamber, the time we've spent with elected members, the time we've all dealt with trying to get the best solution. I just hope that this is it. So going forward, option B is what will be delivered, and I hope you really enjoy those beautiful rain gardens.
Councillor Platten, did you wish to close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? And I'll just note that that was carried unanimously. Item 9.2, the Council Assessment Panel. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Eaton.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak?
No.
Seconder? I'm pressing a button, nothing's happening. Are we sorry? Councillor Zemialotis.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Any questions? Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. The Regional Waste Authority Charter Amendment. Councillor Platten.
Yeah, I'd like to move if I can.
Go ahead.
I have an addition to the points.
An amendment?
Yes, well, I'm moving it, so just a...
Are you going to comment on it?
Yeah, I'm going to add a note if I can. No, I'm moving it. with
Yeah.
the note 3.
Yeah, okay,
Notes that council staff and elected members are not paid for a position on the board.
okay, thank you. So that's the motion that you're putting forward,
Please, that'd be
and
great.
you wish to speak to it.
Yes, please.
Go.
Elected members, I think it's really important to emphasise that I have no issue with adding a board member to SWARA. I know that they're trying to build capacity. I totally understand the level of work that they're putting forward and the growth that they're probably going to see over the next 10 years. But I think it's really important to note that council staff and elected members that are both serving on the board from all constituent councils do not get paid. There is an incredible amount of work that goes towards being on this board. And I think it's very important to send back to SWARA that we understand the level of work that's required and the amount of non-remuneration which is happening. Meanwhile, there are members of that board that are paid quite a considerable amount to be on the board. So I'd just like it noted. I can't really do anything about it, but I think that moving forward into the future, that should be something that the board looks at.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, are you seconding the motion?
Happy to second.
And just to speak?
Yeah, I'll just speak on the actual charter changes. So council may note that we did update the charter last year to allow the recruitment of a second independent member. And this charter change is actually taking that to a third independent member to the board. So independent chairman and 2 independent members. As Councillor Platten's just talked about, there is a fair bit that is going to be happening over the next period of time at the SWARA site. And because there is elected members and council staff that are on that board, there is no guarantee that those people will still be occupying those seats, particularly in about 18 months' time. When the next council elections occur, and there is a couple of long-standing members on the board that may not continue on. And so there is a desire for the board to have some continuity. And I think, and the best way to guarantee that at the moment is to have 3 independent members. So that's the reasoning for the charter background.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. I just want to speak very briefly to it. That was a super long charter, and I always read the updates, Councillor Pritchard, and I just would like to say that we are so lucky to have you representing Onkaparinga on that board. I always appreciate the updates and the level of detail that you go to summarise them, so thank you.
Councillor Platten, do you wish to close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Next we come to the consultation for the item 9.4. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions to start with.
So you're not moving the motion?
No,
Okay, go ahead with the questions.
Sure. It was stated in the deputation that this process sort of started in 2023. We've obviously got the housing strategy that council is working on at the moment. We have had a few EM sessions about that. I was just wondering, why is this the first time we're seeing such an important piece of work that's sort of put together?
So I might just start on that. I think the work that the Alliance has been doing has been going since about 2018. So they've been looking at all different sorts of options.
So it's conversations with council.
Yeah. So just to give it context, and I'll just from the deputation and now from the council, if they'd like to. Is there an officer who wants to talk about
that? Through the chair, I think the main reason it's taken this amount of time is because the initiative, the FRI initiative in particular, was first focused on the Renewal SA site. And it's only as that site has conclusively become unavailable that the focus has turned to alternative sites. And then they've looked at a variety of other both commercial and for sale sites before finalising, I guess, this particular location that they've been talking to us for the last period of time. I forget how many months.
Okay. I just have another question. I was wondering why, if we're planning on consulting the community with this motion, if it is passed or carried, why is there no community engagement plans attached for either of the proposals?
Through the chair, there is a community engagement plan being prepared, and effectively the report refers to who will be engaged and how they'll be engaged. But like all of our engagements, we do have an engagement plan that supports that process.
So I sort of read through it and I didn't see any way how we were going to engage neighbours or anything like that. So.
Through the mayor, so I refer you to page 144. No, sorry, page 142 of the agenda. So proposed public consultation will involve advertisement in the advertiser, notice on the council website, mail out surrounding landowners, occupiers, etc.
Yes, mail out to surrounding landlords and occupants, signage on the subject land. Okay, excellent. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Didn't read the box. I always try and read everything. And then I have, the BMX track. That's there. I know we mentioned that we'd reposition it. Actually, no, I might save that question.
Okay, thank you. Councillor G, are you moving the motion or questions?
I've got a question first. I wondered if it was normal to prototype something like suggested in this before it's written into a strategy.
Do you want to have a go?
Sure. Through the mayor. So, look, I guess it's just about the order of events. You know, we've been approached by this applicant for this proposal. We know we've got a strategy that's being prepared around the same time. You know, I think ideally you'd have the strategy prepared in advance, but you know, equally we know there's also significant external funding that's driving the providers of this type of housing, and you know they're seeking the opportunity, I guess, as soon as possible to you know, explore that option. You know, from our perspective, this does look like an opportunity to use this as a bit of an example, and you know, hear from the community on the proposal and see how that might potentially shape the housing strategy.
Mm-hmm. We've had some updates about the housing strategy, and my understanding that it's centred around affordable housing. It's an affordable housing strategy and doesn't really interconnect with social housing. I just wanted to clarify that because this being pitched tonight is around social housing, so it's a little bit different.
Yep. Do you want to have a go there?
Through the chair, I mean, obviously the affordable housing strategy is in its infancy and we're in the stages of gathering all the inputs. There's an EM workshop coming up next week where we will share those insights with you and a few of the potential strategic directions. The scope at the moment doesn't necessarily include homelessness, but everything else along the housing spectrum is still to be discussed.
Sure. Thank you. I would like to move it.
Thank you. Go ahead. Did you wish to speak?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Housing is a fundamental human right. With stability, people can focus on living and not just surviving. What we have before us tonight is not an idea imposed by council on the community. Instead, it is the result of years of work by residents and local organisations who have come together, identified a pressing need that sought real solutions. They have seen firsthand the impact of housing affordability pressures. Families being forced to move away, young people couch surfing because they have nowhere else to go, older women no longer having housing options. They ask themselves, what can we do? Now it's our turn to ask ourselves what we can do. One tangible step we can take is to support this motion. To explore the community's willingness is all this is asking, to lease a portion of land at SKODA Street Reserve for social housing under a long-term agreement. This chamber has consistently upheld the principle of community-led decision-making. Time and time again, we have listened, deliberated and acted in the best interests of both current and future residents. Our community plan is clear. We believe in collaboration, in expanding housing options for people from all walks of life and in amplifying the voices of those who call our community home. Tonight, we have the opportunity to stand by those values, to show that we are serious about making housing accessible about keeping families connected, and about building a community where everyone has a place to belong. Let's support this motion. Let's say yes to solutions, and let's say yes to a future where housing is not a privilege but a right upheld that we're a part of.
Thank you. Councillor Feniotis, question or debate?
I'm happy to second. I'll debate, even though debate's going to be a bit on the fancy, but I'm happy to say, second.
Go ahead.
So I'm just going to make a couple of points. For me as an elected member, this feels sort of dumped on me. And it feels like that because I haven't been part of the conversations that staff, community and ward councillors have been a part of. It also feels a bit time off when next week we'll be talking about affordable housing strategy. Here comes my next part of confusion. So I've heard the terms social, affordable and homelessness today, and I've heard them as three separate things. When I heard the deputation, they talked about social housing, affordable housing and homelessness collectively, which then tells me we should have had the conversation around our affordable housing strategy first and use this as our test trial subject. This is what should have been, this is what should have happened first. And it would have been quite easily done by council staff to suggest, hey, next week we have an affordable housing strategy. And that strategy encompasses three key things that have come out tonight: social housing, affordable housing, and homelessness. I know people are going to try and separate them, but the deputation was very clear, very much collective. I do like this idea. There is nothing wrong with it. This is something our chamber would support, and its principles and values that this chamber supports. It's more about the way this has come about, knowing that we're going to be having another discussion next week and we have to somehow fit this in that. I hate to make a decision and then set a strategy after. It sounds a bit weird. It's like making decisions and then setting the policy after. Doesn't always work. I'm not against this. And I'm very supportive of what the deputations have requested. What I like about this proposal is the fact that it's supported rentals, having one-on-one support. And I think that's where the success lies in these strategies. And I think that's where the success lies in the fear that some have in our community around social housing, community housing, homelessness, housing SA. My God, there's so many terms. Can we just bring them all together and just have one thing for everything? But that's where this will be actually very successful in this community. So I'm happy to support this at this stage. And I understand the sentiments of Councillor Dew around this is just going out and exploring what our community value and how they feel. But I would have liked to have had our strategy before that. So when we go out and we speak to our community, we've got two very strong things. We've got here's our trial. This is what we're going to test with you. And here's council's strategy and council's values, put in words, put in a document. That sort of gives it a bit more weight. So elected members, I hope you'll support this as a trial and go and explore what our community sentiments are. The other weird thing will be that we're going to have a workshop and then later on we're going to hear our community sentiments. And will that end up then changing our strategy? So the timing thing is a little bit off for me, elected members. I would prefer to go out to our community with a strategy that's strong, and this is our trial to test it. But this has come to us in this mixed up way, and it's a very strong case. And I'd like to test our community on this. Thank you.
Councillor Pritchard, question or debate?
A couple of questions, please. In Willunga, I think it's on Railway Terrace. We have some dwellings that are listed as rental dwellings, but I believe are these? And I'm sorry that I haven't got this question in earlier, but are these dwellings the same as this in terms of the council relationship, in terms of leasing the land?
I'm not sure we know the answer to that. We might need to take it on notice, but Anna's got it under control.
Through you, Mayor. That's correct. They were houses built in approximately 85, somewhere about there. Council provided the land and they were built with some sort of external government funding. They are leased today on very long-term leases. That's correct.
And I believe there's maybe some in Ranello as well. Is that correct? Have I got that right? Yep.
through you, Mayor, that's correct. There are several others. There's a couple in Ranella and a few in Woodcroft, built in later times, in the 90s. Similar type of local government community housing programs. Yeah, they were a program at the time. Council provided the land, and the state and federal funding built on those. They're also very long-term leases.
Thank you. My question around the actual community land management plan is related to page 153. Just the top section is around purpose for which the land is held, and it says the land is held by the council for the purpose of providing community, social and affordable housing. Do we need to create a new category to, to be able to call it that? So we have reserves, or we have sporting grounds, or we have other things. Can we make that statement at the moment, or do we need to change something in another document somewhere to be able to have that category?
Yep, through you, Mayor, you're correct. We have those 6 existing categories and subcategories, and this one here is a brand new one because we didn't think that any of the existing ones fully contemplated this type of land use in the way that we are looking at developing today. So that's what this brand new one is attached to this agenda tonight for public consultation, and then for council to consider again after consultation.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Yeomans.
It's just a quick question of staff, if I can, for just wondering what the implications might be based on what councillor was saying over there. If this was deferred and we just sort of flip things around a little bit, and whether the councillors might be a bit more comfortable making a decision on this when they've had vision of the strategies, whether there's any implication on what we're doing tonight if it was actually deferred till that time.
Context of the federal environment. I can say something. I can answer that a little bit, I think, but I'll get the staff to do that. I think the timing in this is related to the similar as we just heard from Fiona about when the previous properties that you were talking about were under a Commonwealth state agreement, which was called the LOGCHOP, the Local Government Community Housing Program. At the moment, there's a number of Commonwealth programs and state housing strategy and the Commonwealth Housing Fund that's out at the moment. So there's a timing element for not-for-profits like this group that they might not be able to access if there isn't some kind of agreement that it's an idea that we would go forward. So I think that may be a variable, but I'll just double check that. That's the risk. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just this has the potential to be, a little bit sensitive in the community. Just looking at the public consultation plan that you've got on page 142, you've got a mail out to surrounding landowners and occupiers. I'm just wondering whether we can enhance that a little bit by perhaps doing very similar to what we did on Murray Road, where we're actually getting out, talking to people face to face and actually door knocking. And I think that would provide some context to those that are going to be perhaps having the first off vision of what's actually going on. And also, I think we should have learned a lesson from the Christies from Beach Road, where we had a deputation recently from Cornelius McLennan, who was one of those residents where they were going to build some park out the front of his place. And there was a mail out there, but him and others didn't actually get the letter. So I hear a lot where people just don't know what's going on, and that's their main gripe. And I think if we get on the front foot a little bit better, that might serve our purpose there. On page 130.
Excuse me, Councillor Yeomans, do you want an answer to that? About could that be extended?
I was moving on to questions.
Good. I'll just check with the staff if that's something that could be accommodated.
Through you, Mayor, yes, council can always ask us to increase the consultation methods by using additional methods to reach the community. And are you suggesting door knocking or a community meeting on site?
I'm suggesting door knocking those that are going to be immediately facing that complex. Yeah.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, I have, please. Yeah. Now I've got that answer. On page 144, there's discussion about an expression of interest. How does that process work and who would actually be on that panel?
So the EOI, what's the process and who does it?
Through the Mayor. So essentially, if the CLMP is adopted and the land is available, then through the process of feedback, we'll be able to determine what should be in the EOI. So, council will have the opportunity to decide what is most appropriate in terms of social, affordable community housing on that site, and seek a provider of the form of housing that council's seeking, and then as applications are received, they'll get measured against the proposal that's in place. Now, what we would envisage is that council would decide what would be in the EOI after the process of identifying that land is available. So it needs to happen sort of consecutively.
Okay, so can I just clarify that? So the council will get an input into that expression of interest criteria. Okay, thank you. Just another question. And on page 144, the council will also receive an alternative income stream for the lease rent. Have you got any indication what that might be?
Through you, Mayor, it's not something we have undertaken evaluation for. We'll definitely seek some independent advice, and we would do that a little bit further down the track if and when council goes ahead with that. And once we look at, just taking into account too what type of development is actually approved on the site if council goes ahead.
Can I just have a quick debate? Just a quick one.
Okay.
I guess in relation to this, and I'm supporting what Councillor Jill was saying before as well. Big difference between what's going to be proposed here, as opposed to say the Villawood estate on that renewal SA land is the proposal will be 100% used for affordable and social housing, and there is a distinct difference there, as opposed to the Villawood estate. There's basically a developer there for obviously making some money, but there's only 25%. My understanding is only 25% of that whole 800 package home there where there's going to be affordable housing aligned. So this to me is a real enhancement of potentially seeing the housing strategy where we're actually supporting those members of the community that are definitely in need of a shelter. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, a question or debate?
I'm actually interested appreciate the timing as well. I'm actually fascinated in perhaps the reverse. I'd be really interested in finding the outcome of this, and that could actually inform us more around the strategy, because this is real life, on the ground sort of feedback that we're going to get. So yeah, I'm interested in the timing as well and how we're going to play out both of them.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard. Sorry. There we go.
I was just going to debate. I guess when I first got the papers and looked through it, I was a bit surprised, as a number of us were, and not knowing about where this had come from or how it was brought about to the council. I think that having heard the deputations and the conversations around the room, and I'm quite comfortable now that that this is an idea that is worth pursuing in terms of finding out how the community feels about this type of arrangement, and it is changing that idea that we have something that we use as a council facility or a council piece of land, or we revoke it or attempt to revoke it, and it's just adding potentially a third string, and there may be other options later on down the path that we can do with our land.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Just on that long-term lease, and it says here on page 144, consultation feedback will be reported to council at future meetings along with the draft CLMP, including any updates based on feedback if relevant, for council's consideration and determination. So I was just wondering, moving forward, we've sort of discussed this site itself. We're going to go out for community consult on that. And then we've got the community land management plan that's sort of not independent, but influencing this decision. Are we always going to keep these two together, although they'll be separated at one point?
Through you, Mayor, they're two separate matters. They need two separate decisions from council. We'll be consulting on them as two separate items very clearly in the community. One is whether or not they accept all of the terms and conditions for this land use in their new CLMP, new Community Land Management Plan. The second is would we be happy to use that land for a new purpose for housing, community, social, affordable housing for up to 42 years, leasing that to a third party to manage it, construct this, development and manage it and rent out these facilities. Just to be clear, we'll go out to consultation on both matters, treat them separately, but they could both be done in the community at the same time so that we are indicating we want to change the use and it will be managed for up to 42 years. Two purposes. We don't know who will lease it yet. If council approves it all, then we would go out to an expression of interest to find an appropriate person to undertake the project. Through you, Mayor, I would think that they could be either in the same report, depending on just how many submissions come in and how they can be shaped up, but they can also be presented to council in two reports if required. But both matters will be a decision of council.
Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I will just a quick debate if I can. Look, I certainly agree that this is part of a broader process going forward. Look, I do acknowledge, as Councillor Themmeliotis has said, this is a bit of a conflation of a few, maybe it's just terminology, but a few issues. And I think one of the confusing things for people is when we talk about particularly affordable housing, we're talking about a big housing estate, 25% being put aside for affordable housing for people to actually buy into, as opposed to, I think what the purpose of this one is really about social supported housing. So I think it would be good if we could just get a bit more clarity around exactly what it is we're intending for this particular piece of land. In a community, affordable housing is not necessarily what we're talking about here. I think what also would be really helpful moving forward, and maybe it could have formed part of this report, was the examples that we already have in our council area. I was certainly aware of the ones in Willunga. I was totally unaware of the ones in Ranella. But I think although they are leases that have been created at a different time in this council, from the sounds of it, it's very similar as a concept, and that is leasing a portion of land for somebody else to come and actually invest in building some social housing. And it would be also, I think, helpful to understand from my perspective exactly how that plays out in the long term. These are community houses. Are they then exempt from rates? Maybe just some of the ideas around, exactly what this means for us as a council. But look, I'm absolutely supportive of taking this to our community and seeing what their thoughts are. And I think you're right. I think this will form part of the conversation around what our broader strategy could look like in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Greaves touched on a matter that I was contemplating, and I would also like to see in that feedback a bit of an audit done in respect to what we do have out in the community in that space. And notwithstanding that this set of circumstances for the proposal. This one are unique. I'd like to know some of the background to an existing leases in various areas. So, for instance, I wasn't aware that we had any type of rental properties in Woodcroft that the council were behind. So thank you. I support the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, a question or debate?
Yeah, just one more question, sorry. Okay, so, because I missed the box, that public consultation box, Councillor Yeoman's touched on it. Can I just get clarification? I'm a little bit scarred from Murray Road that we are going to add door knocking to the list for the community consult.
So what I heard is that there'd be a range of methods added, and door knocking was listed, as well as maybe a community meeting as well as residents. That's what I heard.
I'm just getting clarification.
That's right. I think there's plenty of nods up here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Councillor Drew, do you wish to close debate?
Yes, please. Thank you everyone for engaging in a robust discussion. It was really interesting, the different perspectives, and I also can see where you're coming from, Councillor Themialis. I do want to add, just in line with what Councillor Yeomans was saying, housing was in the top four, as we all know, in terms of the feedback we received during the community plan process. And what I am very conscious about is, yes, people said housing is so important and social housing is important. But if our next question was, are you happy for them to be next door to you? I'm sure that many people would probably say maybe not. And so this is another opportunity for us to show leadership in this space. I agree that door knocking, the surrounding location is important, but I think the broader community is also valuable in this, because it's actually a part of a bigger story and community need. And unless we push boundaries, but also in line with community desires, then I think we're not going to achieve what we need to. So if we're adding to the community engagement list, I think like shopping stall, a store in a shopping centre or somewhere where we're more accessible to the broader community would also be interesting, because this group definitely have talked about servicing the Sellex, Aldinga, Muslim Beach community and surrounding area. But know that this is an expression of interest and that it might go to a different provider. Just wanted to put that out there. I also, in line with what Councillor Davis touched on, I think that this is a new way of working and doing business, and therefore it will be clunky at times. And it's important that we are testing and prototyping and having a go at new ways of doing things in order to actually embed it within our strategy. Because if it's not tested and we have it in the strategy and then we work out that actually this isn't the way we want to operate, then it's a bit too late. So the opportunity to work and partner and be on this journey with another organisation is quite interesting. I think what we hear loud and clear is community's interest in retaining land and our parks and playgrounds, our open space. And this was always front and centre, is always front and centre to Councillor Yeomans and I. An example out at Salisbury is they actually donated their community land to a housing project. Instead, we're talking about retaining this and for it to continue to be community land for at least 42 plus years more. So I'm really in support of this group, and I would really like to acknowledge the hard work of the Alliance. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their years and years of support for people that are extremely vulnerable in our community. So thank you, and thank you for everyone who engaged in tonight's conversation.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? The motion's carried. Thanks, everyone. And I'm not able to influence debate, so I'll say something now. And that is that there are a whole lot of examples around the state. Lutheran community housing would be one I'd encourage you to look at. And also we have in our own we're not on council land, but benevolent society homes that have had other kinds of relationships. So I look forward to seeing what happens next when we listen into the community. The next item is 9.5 and Councillor Fisher.
Yes, Mayor, I'll move the motion.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Platten.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Do I have any further speakers, questions?
Yep.
Councillor Fisher, to Councillor Davis? Question?
Just a question. If the consultation, what sort of cost is involved in adding a door knocking consultation to this sort of thing?
We might take that one on notice can we take it on notice, or do you know the answer to that? No, we'll take it on notice and get back to you. Is that okay? Yeah. Councillor Milotis?
Yes, really quickly.
Question or debate?
I'm going to question first on each of the sites. Will we be hammering in one of those signs that we do? Yep. And just a quick debate, just because I know this will drum up a bit of conversation in my community. This is purely to test our community, just like we did with the previous motion. Our community hasn't seen something like this before, but I will say when people talk to me around playgrounds and other assets, the first thing they tell me to look at is land parcels. And so I'm happy for this to go out and test our community and see the feedback we get back and make a decision then.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, question or debate?
Debate, please.
Go ahead.
100% support Councillor Familiotis on that one. Really excited to see what the community have to say about this. Really hope we get some strong, robust engagement back. A little bit disappointed. We've obviously had a couple of sessions. Some of them have been confidential about it, so I don't want to go on too much, but I was hoping to see a bit more of alignment to be able to sort of deliver with the community. So, I just wanted to give that feedback.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Fisher, do you wish to close debate?
Thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Carried, and I'd note that that's carried unanimously as well, please. The draft rating policy 9.6. So this is page 203 in the electronic version. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Pritchard. Question or?
Happy to move. I just wanted to ask, well, probably shouldn't move first, but I did ask a question around the business finance.
Yep.
And the response we got was that we have never had a successful applicant. We haven't had an applicant for a period of time. And I just wondered whether we should continue to have this in our rating policy, or does administration see a need for this in our rating policy going forward?
Yeah.
So through the Mayor, as we understand it, the building upgrade finance has not been taken up across any council in South Australia. So administration's view would be that if there was a resolution to seek to taking it out of our rating policy and that it's not continued, that would not have a tangible impact on what we offer to the community.
That's appreciated. Do you wish to debate?
Can I make an amendment to my? And can I propose to remove section 5.5 from the draft?
So what we've currently got before us is this current motion. You want to amend the motion?
No, amend my.
Can you just add to it? Yes, go ahead.
So that we remove the building upgrade finance section, which is currently 5.5 from the rating policy.
From the rating policy. Now, would you like to debate?
We've had conversations around the rating policy in the last year, specifically looking at the way that we rate, and decided as a chamber that we didn't need to change the way we conduct our fixed versus variable ranges and components like that. There are a million different choices with regards to rating policy, and that makes it difficult to be able to compare councils' policies, but the rates themselves are always an opportunity for comparison, particularly with regards to this component of the rating policy. If it's never been used, then I don't see any reason for us to continue to have words in a document that are not being used by the community.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves, a question or seconding or debate?
Look, I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Do you wish to say? No. Councillor Wilkes.
I'll just ask a quick question. I was wondering how the myth busting community engagement was happening, or how it's progressing.
So through the Mayor, we'll bring our draft budget and your business plan to council in April. Our community engagement approach certainly is around looking at busting the myths around rates, and that will be a focus for our community engagements going forward.
So stay tuned for the next exciting episode. Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Item 9.7, which is the review of council's financial hardship policy. There was might have been a question. If there is, were some questions here that have been provided. So do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Fisher. You wish to speak? Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Platten?
Happy to second.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Councillor Fisher, which debate? Nope. Okay. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you very much. 9.8, and thanks everyone for on your team, Jade, for the work behind the scenes for all of that. 9.8, the approval of additional temporary loan. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Thank you. Do you wish to debate?
I think, yes, thank you. I keep trying to say just quick, not just quickly, but anyway. I think, so some questions were asked, and I think this is obviously a necessary step. I think it's important to note that we are not near our debt ceiling, and we are not near the debt ceiling that we inherited when we came into the chamber. So I think that that is a positive out of this. I would also like to note that part of this requirement is due to fixed term loans becoming due, and so obviously when it runs out we need to replace them given our current situation. So I think whilst this comes in looking like we are seeking additional funds, it is not to go beyond our debt ceiling, and it is partly to replace fixed loans that are coming due.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll second it.
Wish to speak? Any further questions? Councillor Yeomans.
Just a couple of questions if I can. Just to get it right in my head, is this a bit like an overdraft to a degree?
Through the Mayor, the way that we use our borrowings or our facilities is similar to an overdraft. So we will draw down when funds are needed and then repay when we get money coming back in, similar to an overdraft facility.
And just second question, does the full amount record as a liability or just the amount that we've drawn?
Through the Mayor, it's just the amount that we've drawn down on that's recorded as a borrowing liability.
Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close? All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. 9.9 is the for the national meeting, the National General Assembly. We've got 3 items here. Councillor Wilkes.
I'd like to move this, please.
Thank you. Go ahead. Do you want to speak?
Yes, please. I was so excited when I saw this notice of motion. I was like, yes. I am in full support of motion 1, increasing the financial assistance grant. It's so important. We've spoken about it before in the chamber when we discussed it with the 9.6 in the May meeting 2024. I attended a webinar in regards to this and saw many familiar faces that I had actually met at our local government association. It's being spearheaded by a lovely mayor in the Mid-Murray. It's just really important issue. It's pretty much looking at local councils who provide 33% of services only get 0.05% of financial assistance grants. So I really hope that this gets up at the meeting. And also just wanted to touch on a little bit of the discussions that we've been having in the chamber about sending people to these meetings. And I think it's a bit sad that we haven't been able to be in the capacity to be able to afford to send people there, and we've made that tough decision. But hopefully, if this motion gets up and the federal government listen to us, we might get a little bit more funding and we might be able to head over there. So that makes me excited. I also really agreed with the clause in there, or the request to have the full agreement for the once-off payment to address the historical income issues and that time of grants where, you know, we sort of get it a bit ad hoc. So yeah, I definitely support both of these motions and I really hope we can see some more federal assistance funding. Thank you.
Thank you. And seconded, Councillor Fisher.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to second it and debate.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I also support the three motions there, and as one of two self-funded councillors that will be attending that meeting, I look forward to debating and discussing and interacting with other councillors from around Australia to try and come up with some solutions to common problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, do you wish to close debate?
No. I was going to ask a question. Can I ask a question? I know it's off enough, but can you take it on notice? How many, because Mick's just, sorry, Councillor Fisher has just mentioned that he is, and Councillor Davis are actually self-funding their trips. I was wondering, is there any data about local councillors who fund their own trips to get here? Or is there data about how many councils actually have
that information is available probably from ALGA, the Australian Local Government Association. I can say from my knowledge of councils in South Australia, we're the only ones that do that.
Okay, we're the only ones that
as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.10, Councillor Fisher has a conflict of interest, so if you wouldn't mind addressing that.
Mayor, yes, I nominate or identify a general conflict of interest in relation to asking for nomination to this particular SA Boating Facility Advisory Board, and I intend to lead the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Platten. We'll just wait for Councillor Fisher to disappear. Off you go.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move the motion.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
I'm really happy to. I can't think of a better person to be on the SA Boating Facility Advisory Committee. Councillor Fisher is a fellow boat licence holder and a willing participant in fisheries of South Australia. And as such, he dedicates some of his life to using boating facilities and has a desire to see facilities in our region bettered. We're very privileged to have one of the most used and popular facilities at O'Sullivan's Beach in our council district, and I think it would be fortunate for us to have someone on the committee. So I hope that you'll support it.
Thank you. Councillor Fenellodes.
Second the motion.
Any further questions?
No.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. And if someone could let Councillor Fisher know. Thank you very much. I'm just alerting you that we're up to 9.11 and we are after the 8:30 time slot. And just seeking your whether you want to have a break after this item for 5 minutes or so. All right, so we'll do this item and then I'll call up, make a request for you. The councillor reporting schedule, Councillor Fenellodes.
Yes, happy to move and just debate briefly on the Southern volunteering conversations.
Yes.
Just hopefully elected members notice that we've moved it along another month in consultation with Southern Volunteering. So really excited for that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you very much. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. So do we have someone who'd like to move a 5-minute adjournment? Councillor Platten.
I'd be very happy to move that we have a 5-minute adjournment.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
I'll second it with minimum debate. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, we will stop the clocks for 5. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We'll stop the clocks for 5 minutes and we'll come back in when the big hand's on the number 8 on that clock. Okay, items, we're up to item 10, the questions on notice, which are in your packs. And I think there's one that has been circulated or will be in the minutes. Item 11.1, Councillor Wilkes.
Sorry, it's been a super busy day. I haven't eaten, so. up from a while ago. Just trying to get that bacon sandwich down.
So just you're going to move this motion. Can we just double check that's, if you want to look on the screen, that's okay?
I'm getting there.
That's the one you resent?
No,
I don't think it is. No. Can we,
sorry about that.
That's all right. No,
it'll come.
I'll have a drink of water and we'll just we'll insert the one that was sent through.
It's only a one-liner, so it's not very.
It's all right, it's just coming.
Please take your time.
Thank you. Is that right now, Councillor Wilkes? Yep. So that's been moved. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I cannot speak enough about how much effort Councillor Fisher has put in with basketball in the south. He's a pillar of it. Everyone knows him. I have brought this up just so we can sort of get a comprehensive report back to the chamber. There's a lot of moving parts in this one. Its lease is up for the lease on the building. So Basketball SA own the building. The lease is up in August 30 next year. And I just want to make sure that we're across everything because I don't want another NOARLUNGA Aquatic Centre on our hands where everyone stands there and goes, why is it in that condition? And it was, sublet out or whatever the words are. So yeah, just wanted to get a report back to council about this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher?
Yes, Mayor, and just to thank you very much for those kind words, Councillor Wilkes. But certainly, just to correct one issue, it's actually Council 1, so it's not owned by BSA. It's leased to BSA. It's been a long-term lease with Basketball SA, and the Mayor and I and administration have met with the basketball club, Southern Tigers. We've met with local politicians and advocated for improvements for the facility. We've met with Basketball South Australia on about 3 occasions over the last 18 months, indicating our desire to improve the facilities overall. Without talking out of school, Basketball SA acknowledged that they had done little to the facility for a very long time. And there are examples in the last 10 years, I suppose, where they've contributed cash in kind, I suppose, for various improvements to the basketball stadium. It comes up for lease next year, and that's a decision that will have to be made by the council in relation to who takes it over. But currently, it's a peppercorn lease or $1 a year, and I don't think it reflects the business, I suppose, of facilities within any council area, let alone the city of Onkaparinga. I support the motion in relation to basically an analysis of where we are, what we've done, and where we think we will go. I mean, I know there's an advocacy plan that talks about the whole Winifred Taylor Reserve. It is a district level facility, so with netball and rugby and table tennis and everyone else that plays along there, archery. It's a big ticket item in the city, and certainly it needs some attention for the future. As I said, I support the recommendation as it goes, and I seek the Chamber's support. Thank you.
And can I just get a bit of direction for this motion? The report by May, would that be useful to have a date in it for staff? Okay, so all right, I'll leave it open for them. Councillor Platten.
Okay.
Just a question and clarification. Do staff own the land and not the building, or the building and the land?
Council, to council, I don't think the staff own anything.
Councils.
I hope that you own something. Developing a scheme that was also unknown to us.
You know.
So who owns the building and do we lease it?
I have by that.
Okay, are you able to answer that?
Yeah, through the mayor, it's a ground lease arrangement with Basketball SA. So council owns the land, and in theory the building as well, because that goes sort of with the lease if the lease should finish. So, but there are conditions around sort of the condition that the building needs to be maintained in, and with the ground lease, the responsibilities for the maintenance of that building rest with the lessee.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, did you have a question?
So council owns the building.
Technically, that's correct. Yes.
I can't wait for this report. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Do you wish to close debate, councillor? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. The next item is a notice of motion. Councillor Jew. I think is this the new set of words?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Do you wish do you want to move the motion?
I'd like to move it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Water security is not just an environmental issue, it's an economic and social one. This motion is a step towards ensuring the city is prepared for the reality of lower rainfall. By getting a baseline, we can help to build a shared understanding of the future needs of residents, businesses and agricultural producers. South Australia has just experienced its driest summer in 40 years. I was only talking to a farmer yesterday who isn't on mains and is having to consider whether or not they'll start using their fire water as their water supply is so low. By writing to the LGA, it will help to develop a strong, coordinated local government approach, strengthening our ability to advocate for state and federal support on water security. We all understand the pressures that exist without access to water. This motion isn't just about information gathering, it's about ensuring our community is equipped to manage and adapt to a changing climate.
So just to remind anyone who perhaps is following a printed version of this, Councillor Jew did provide this change of wording to all councillors earlier today. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll certainly support this. It's a matter of significant importance. Also in Thalassa Ward, because we've got rural areas. But in fact, I mean, we've got some people that live a couple of kilometres from Mount Bold Reservoir that don't have SA water. They've got to drink out of their tanks. So I think the time's come for something to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fisher.
Question.
Go ahead.
It might be debate as well, but just some clarification on the second or third dot point. Management planning underway for non-potable water use in the future for agriculture and green purposes. What does that mean?
Councillor Drew, you might make some comments to that in your closing debate. But I'll just ask staff if they'd like to give a definition of a non-potable water, because I think that's at the heart of Councillor Fisher's request. And the differences of using that in agricultural and green pasture settings.
Through the mayor, this is similar to the WILLUNGA Water Basin Company scheme to provide recycled water through to vineyards and other agricultural pursuits.
Thank you. Hang on.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Second question. What about our grey water?
In relation to this motion or grey water generally?
Grey water across the city.
Grey water is effectively going into the SA water system. And
perhaps if observations might be able to help here. Go ahead.
Through the chair, referring to stormwater reuse? Yeah.
No, yeah.
So certainly an account of what council already does with stormwater and stormwater reuse programs would be included in response to this
Councillor Wilkes.
Just a couple of questions. Who's responsible for mains water?
SA Water.
SA Water, state government?
Correct.
Okay. The number of properties not on mains water and what options, and if they are low on water, is that something that is, and sorry if you have to take some notice, is that something that is already provided by the state government who own SA Water? Do they have those numbers? Do they have like web pages?
Do we know the answer to that, or can we take it on notice?
To the mayor, certainly we'd have to take that on.
Yeah, I think we'll take that on notice. Thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah. For staffing, for our staffing, council staffing, I was wondering that first part, how do we have staff that will be able to do that?
To get that information.
Be able to action that?
Through the mayor, do you mean the first dot point there about the number of the number of properties not on mains water?
And then any regional planning underway for non-potable water use in the future and then the relevant action as well.
Through the mayor, yes, I think we could potentially make an assessment of the number of properties not on mains water. I'm using a few data sources that we have. And in terms of the regional planning, that might not be planning that's council's planning per se, but what we can do is look into what's happening out there. For example, there's a McLaren Vale regional water security strategy that the Department of Environment and Water is doing. So we can look into an update on that.
Okay, cool. And then when we say that we're going to seek an update, can I ask the writer what sort of platform or information, or how is this going to be, like how are we receiving this?
So I think you can, I'm going to interrupt that process. This is a request for an update, so like a report, so it will come as a report like all other NOMs. It wouldn't be outside of our normal process, or does this trigger another sort of process?
So do you mind if I ask?
No, I'm just doing it this way, thank you. Or does that trigger another process? Does the word report, so technical question really?
Through the mayor, so to clarify, if it's about the last dot point there, to write to the Deputy Premier, is that the?
No, I think there's the whole thing about what is an update and how will it come?
Okay.
Through the mayor, so that could be through a variety of ways, I guess. Yes, it could be a report back to council. It could also be an weekly update. It could be a variety of ways. So maybe that is
something you might want to explore in your closing.
Am I allowed to ask the mover what their intention was?
You can, and it'll be up to them how they want to respond to that.
Okay. Sorry, Lauren. Councillor, do you mind if I ask you what was your intention to receive
the word update? So just the technical piece, please.
My intention was that staff would have the knowledge and the ability to decide on the best measures for that to take place, but the best use of our time. So whether or not that's a table report, whether or not that's a 10-minute update in an EN session, whether that's through weekly news, I felt like this might even be a staggered approach. We might get a report from the Deputy Premier, but we're still investigating it. So it might happen and we don't necessarily get the fund. At a different phase.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Wilkes, is that satisfying? Is that helpful? Councillor Fisher.
Yeah, so it's a question. So, and it's flogging a dead horse. But I just see the relevance of our purple pipe work in the city, where we were part of a scheme that was designed or looking to drought-proof the south.
Yeah.
And we have infrastructure out there. We have pipes, we have taps, we have sprinklers that are connected to stormwater, whatever. I just think it has a relevance in relation to an update. What's going on with that?
So the question might be, how does the waterproofing of the south fit with this issue?
What are we doing about it? Are we still doing it, or did we just stop because the drought stopped?
So I think that that's outside of this motion. I'm not saying it's not something that could be considered.
The water business unit is looking currently at options, how we get more water into our network. And some of that does involve potentially connecting to SA Water's network. We can provide an update as part of this update to provide some more information.
And I'd encourage you, Councillor Fisher, if you think there's some more things we do to bring a nom to that effect. Any Councillor Judy to close debate?
Just quickly, in relation to what Councillor Wilkes was saying, the reason why I feel like it is our business, because I felt like that was, wondering if it is our work, is because of the climate change response plan and the work that we've done in terms of declaring a climate emergency. Thank you, everyone. And just like water's a commodity, and given changing times and things like that, and we're experiencing firsthand a drought. We don't really have a baseline yet, and so I think it's probably really important in order to advocate above, but also to understand where our work is and what the state and federal government might need to do in the future. Leaves us in good stead if we at least have this information together.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for your patience with me trying to make sure we're keeping within the technical requirements of local government land. We have two petitions. Item 11.3 was withdrawn. The first petition is in relation to alteration of a public road. Councillor Wilkes.
Yes, I have something I have submitted earlier about this one. Sorry, Sue, thank you.
So something, okay, here we go.
And then you can just remove C, Sue. I did send another email, but it might not have gotten through in time. Thank you.
So do you just want to double check what's on the screen?
Yep. That's cool. Thank you. Okay. So if everyone would like to read it, I've just added in here after that amazing, I haven't been speaking for a minute. Sorry. Thank you. So I've just added in here establishing if the donations nominated in the proposal are genuine. So I should start with maybe that point too. So council notes that further investigations will be undertaken and a subsequent report will be presented to council in May 2025. That was already written by council staff. I've just added 2 extra dot points in there to see if staff can establish if the donations nominated in the proposal are genuine and align this to, as Christine had done in her proposal, to the council's new 2030 community plan. So I think, as you could see from the deputation tonight, the community are invested in this. They absolutely want to be out in the fresh air, enjoying a coffee while they're on the esplanade. The deputation showed the support and the desire to see and have a look at this brand new option that we could do as a council, which is get some community engagement from the community to develop a site, not huge, but just develop a site that they feel like they can connect with. Looking at it from the policy side, this could be these little areas could be a feature along the coast. Nothing too fancy, but I just think it has such a strong promotion of our coastline, and we've already developed the Route 31 signage, a strategy from council. It promotes fresh air, exercise, summer, and lastly, little ones. I understand that cafe and lunching is the best. Ross and I are always out and about in our local cafes, but sometimes it's really hard when families have kids. And coffee on the go while you're sitting in the fresh air is great. Kids can even play in the fresh air. It gets them off their screens. And I just think that this proposal is something that we should worth looking at. Christine's working really hard to bring something new to the area, something that council identified would be great. We actually created the permit system ourselves. Unfortunately, the problem is that coffee on the esplanade from a van is so popular that it's spilled out onto the pathways, the shared use paths with bikes, bells and scooters. They're really, really fast moving as well, by the way. People are moving fast and sometimes taking it slow, as you are when you're getting a coffee, do not collide or do not meet well. So do we shut down this idea that Christine has come and spoke to us about? Or do we move our areas to align more to a more permanent fix? The project is not asking for money at the moment. We're just getting a report back. And I think the consideration to consider what local businesses are willing to contribute to make our foreshore and their experience a little more safe, a little more playful, and a little more inviting. I urge the chamber to move this motion so we can at least inquire with the local businesses and see if they are keen to put their money where their mouth is for our local community. Ideas start somewhere, but it takes courage to help them grow. Thank you.
Councillor, I've just been getting some advice here because I wasn't sure about a couple of things. One is 2A is that I don't know that council has the capacity to determine whether something is genuine or not as a donation, because that's not a function of council. And B is the plan that was presented in the by the deputation this evening was our old plan, and so it's actually the 2034 community plan.
2034.
So you might need to
so I'll change that to 2034. 2035. I'm sorry, my brain is not very good with dates at the moment.
Is it 34 or 5? What number is it?
I would go with the mayor. Is it 35? I thought it was
34.
Gosh, sorry guys.
34. It is 34. All right. Sorry, Lauren. And we do have some problems with that because that's outside of our jurisdiction. That would be considered ultra virus.
So what can we? What word?
So you might want to
genuine.
You might want to secure
feasible. Thank you.
I think all of that's outside of our powers. I don't know how we could do that. Because
so establish if we are able to take donations for the proposed project. Let me write it down so I don't forget it.
No, that it's not. It's also there's two elements in here. One is the role of council. The question you've got here is are the donations genuine? So that is not a role of council to make a determination over the kind of the authority and the willingness, because that's a different kind of commitment. And then the second part of that would be whether we would even be able to do that.
Okay, so we're in unprecedented ground here because we haven't done anything like this before.
Well, no, that's incorrect. Hold on. So we have done things like Jubilee Park, which was a similar process. Lots of community people were involved. There were donations of all sorts of things. I'm not debating the donation point. It's about that whether we are the assessors of something. So if it's not our project to assess.
Okay.
So it's not our project to assess. So that would have to, I'm going to rule that out of order so that we can proceed with the motion with those two elements.
Okay. So
just take that.
Let me finish. Yeah. The Jubilee donations that came through the council, because that's a precedent that's been set, when those donations were offered and we accepted them, what was I'm trying to mirror that same, obviously we've done it before.
So there's a process for donations, which is not the process for us to assess whether something's genuine or not. They're different things.
Okay, so don't assess it.
So donations are okay under the legislation, under the Local Government Act. But our ability to assess whether someone is going to be genuine or not.
Okay. So when it's coming back to council, I suppose we're just going to be...
Could be presented including our ability to accept donations.
Okay. Can we go with that? Thank you.
That is correct.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Accept donations in the proposal. Do we need to clarify it? No, let's just
no, it's because it's to accept to facilitate donations as per proposal. So
I'm happy.
Okay.
It gets us
I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to make sure we stay within the rules and the law. Councillor Platten, are you got a question?
Please.
Go ahead.
Just a question to staff.
Yep, go ahead.
Under the coastal adaptation plan, is this land suitable for development?
Can we answer that question or do we need to take it on notice? I think this will be in the report as it comes back, but is that correct? Okay, thank you. Any further question? Councillor Fisher?
Did he second
No, Councillor Platten didn't second the motion. He just asked a question.
I've got a question too.
Go ahead.
So I think it's a wonderful idea and everything else like that, and I thank administration for the advice in relation to Jubilee Park. But I was struggling to come up with a project in my memory where the council had basically had volunteers or people donating money for infrastructure that ultimately will be responsible for maintenance wise. So my questions along the lines of precedent, I suppose. Secondly, ongoing costs and the risk transfer, I suppose, that we must accept from a company that might build some tables or playground equipment or whatever.
So that's the kind of thing you'd be looking forward to seeing in a report. Thank you very much. Councillor Theomilotis.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'd like to know if council staff are supportive of the proposal.
Are council staff willing to answer that question without the work having been done? I think that's the point of the report, when that will have a recommendation from staff once they've had a chance to explore what the options are. Councillor Dew, are you seconding the motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to second it. I want to have a go at this, but it may verge on operational, and I know the Mayor will definitely pull me back. So I wonder if we took Christine as the business owner out of the equation and considered Christine as our local resident. And I talk about that because I've been directly involved and coordinated a project that does just this, and that's why I alluded to the grants program, which was the Giving Garden Aldinga, where we work with community to identify a need. And this is why I think it's a community development project rather than a permit process, because we have a group of community residents from varying backgrounds and varying disciplines willing to create a space that's for community outcome and interest. Now, everyone brings different resources and different knowledge and different ideas to that, which makes it a robust project. How we've done it in the past, which may be very different, and so we utilise Willunga High School for different things. We worked with young offenders, we worked with community residents, and in the end, that parcel of land was a memorandum of MOU potentially with a local education institution, which sounds to me, what I was hearing was Carlton College was willing to be that through maintaining the space and having sort of co-ownership of the space, which I actually have done a few EMs about this, and as Christine alluded to, had met with her previously, and I've got quite a lot of information back from staff in relation to the site, and maybe that in terms of coastal adaptation, it's very high risk for erosion and things like that. So I don't want to stand here suggesting that it's the greatest site for this to take place, but I definitely am eager to see, and I've talked to others about this, eager to see opportunities for community for shared ownership over our spaces, because ultimately they are public spaces. And I would love to see this as a community development approach rather than a transactional approach, which was a permit, yes or no, because I think it's bigger than that. And again, I reiterate, if we perceive this as community residents rather than a business owner, I think we might see it a bit differently, or it might fit within the system a bit differently. So that's my, something to consider.
Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, and no relation to her, by the way. So just putting that out there. Look, I'm happy to support this motion. I guess a note of caution from my perspective, and that is there are lots of really good ideas that come from our community, and we should never dismiss them. But I think we, as a council, need to be really careful in terms of process. and making sure that we take all of the steps necessary to ensure we've got all of the information. So Councillor Jew's just suggested that she's had lots of conversations, she's had EM inquiries, she's got a body of knowledge about the site, and what are potentially pitfalls. And so it's really important that while I understand, Councillor Wilkes, you've got some real enthusiasm to see this progress, is to actually take a step back and get all the information first. Because there's always going to be pros and cons, there's always going to be barriers in the way. Yes, it would be great to have a site like this developed as part of a community initiative. But as council, I guess we've got a lot of other issues that need to be considered. It's not just about a permit, you're right. It really is about a space. But then I guess the other caveat is, what about all the other spaces that we have to consider in the city as well? Yes, there was discussion, and the petitioners certainly have prosecuted a case where they've got a lot of support from local suppliers, but ultimately it's a council piece of land, and whatever happens on there has to be done with council. It should be a council project. So just, look, I'm happy to support this. I think if we can cover up on some of those key issues in the report that comes back to us, I think we'll all be in a much better position to be able to be a little bit more clear-headed and a bit more informed about what the potential and the possibilities are. So
Thank you. Councillor Themilotis.
Thank you. Just some debate, and I'm hearing the points that Councillor Greaves has said, and I've just written down a couple of points of my own, especially when the open space review has created a lot of conversation in my ward and potentially creating a new open space with a potential play space. How does that align in our overall strategy? So there's plenty of things we need to think about. And I know this is saying to go to a report, and I guess that all of that information will be fleshed out. But I'm also mindful that sometimes these reports set expectation, and our community think there's going to be some delivery, and the report might come back and it might say, actually, this is not going to work. Or it might come back and say there's multiple risks, or it might come back and say there's going to be a stage where you're going to potentially outgrow this space. It becomes popular. What do we do then? I also think about the donation part, which I think is fantastic. I think it's great when community have buy-in. Buy-in's really, really important. But then I think about all my clubs who just want to build that bench, who just want to do this, who just want to do that, and then they get hit with landowner consent, any form of what they call red tape to stop process, not a priority, not on council's list, not on their strategy, not on this. Now, every group and every club across our city has someone who has some sort of trade or some sort of connection, and they're always willing to give and help out and make things happen. Yet there seems to be a lot of roadblocks when it comes to council because of process, because of appropriate process, because it is council's land, because if anything does happen on council's land, that falls onto council. It's our responsibility. So my two risks are around setting community up and making them think that if we go through this process and the report comes back that something is actually going to happen, because that may not happen. It might end up going through the budget process and it might sit there 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not sure. And then how does it fit with our open space strategy? And how are some of our other residents going to feel when they've got open spaces that are really, really important to them? Taking the business out of it, just talking about the open space and the value of open space across our whole city. It's a poor timing thing, because when we're having a really important conversation around open space in our community, and we're about to go out and have another conversation about potential revocation of a load of open spaces, but then we're also saying, here's an ideal space for this. It's sending a bit of a really confused mixed message in our community of what we're doing. So look, I'm going to go against what I think I should do, which is not to push this report, because I have a feeling what's going to come back and it's not going to be as positive as we think. But hey, it's a report, it's to get us informed, and it will help community understand council's priority. But I do see elements of risk here, and maybe it would have been better to have Christine sit down with council staff and sit down with our open space strategy and look at other pockets and see what's happening in that area, rather than just say, no, I've chosen and this is the spot and this is where it's going to work.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard. Question or debate?
Just a question to start with, which was just around, I guess, the boundary of any report. So I'm just guessing that we're only going to focus specifically on the petition areas requests. So that wouldn't be, we're not trying to expand that to a drive path or anything like that, just to make sure that.
And given where it is on the agenda and that this is a petition and that is the motion, so it will be contained, the parameters are the petition.
Excellent. And my second question, and it may be one for notice, is just completely unrelated, but from the not unrelated, that wouldn't make sense, but the petitioner raised concerns around the path and some safety issues, and I just am concerned that if we are providing a permit at the moment and there's been some almost reportable incidents there, are we doing anything about addressing some safety risks in the community that our coastal paths are creating and our permit system is creating? So
yeah, I'm going to suggest that we take that on notice because it is outside the context of this agenda item, but it's not inappropriate to ask. So I will just take it on notice. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Drew, you can have a question, but not a debate.
Just wanted to clarify something that I said before that wasn't accurate.
That's good. Please correct the record. You're certainly allowed to correct the record.
I suggested that an MOAA sat across the Giving Garden, but in fact that was through that was specifically because they wanted to have a shed on that site, which was on council land, but the relationship was actually through a previous grant, and that's how it was established. So there isn't an MOAA over the whole site. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Councillor Wilkes, do you wish to close debate? Can you press your buzzer?
I think it's interesting, Councillor Familiotis, that you mentioned roadblocks and facing roadblocks. And as we already see, I already faced one in the very first instance of this coming up on the screen. So I'm no doubt that roadblocks will continue. I also just wanted to add that definitely EMs have met with Christine. Councillor Drew mentioned it. I know Councillor Yeomans, you've also put in lots of EMs, as have I, and Dan, myself, Dan, you've also. In her deputation, Christine did mention that she, in a meeting that she mentioned, there was promises of meeting with staff and compliance that was offered to her that never eventuated. I know that she is very willing and has said to me that she is very willing to have those meetings and discussions and is open to definitely anything that is willing to be put forth. So yeah, I look forward to hopefully, if you guys support this, receiving this report back, and we can all debate it again in May.
So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 12.2, the request for small dog off-leash dog park at HIGHWRAY Drive at VALE. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Fisher? This is to receive the petition. Yeah.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Yep. So does part 2 acknowledge that we are looking at dog park services at a level? So what I mean by that is we're moving it from, is it a district level dog park?
Yeah, so the question is, let me just check that, what is our dog park service level for the city of Onkaparinga?
We don't have one, but
yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do have one. Do you want to just answer that?
Two questions.
Yeah, first question is, off you go, you answer. Shut up.
Through the mayor, Councillor Fisher, the service level that we have is for the number of dog parks that we have. So yes, that's very clear.
Yeah. So I mean, so the answer to that question is that we're already at capacity. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. And the second question was. I'll leave it at that at this stage.
Do I have someone to move this item? Councillor Greaves.
Yeah, thank you. Moving as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, councillor Eaton. Do you wish to speak? Councillor Fisher. No, he asked a question. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We have any urgent business? Councillor Wilkes?
Yes, can I please bring some urgent business to the floor? It's on the screen there. I'm hoping it will be granted and I'm allowed to speak to it, Chair.
Sure. So councillor Thimilotis, you're moving it?
Oh, happy to move.
And do you, I'll get a seconder and then you can speak. Councillor Platten?
Very happy to see that.
And then councillor Wilkes.
Thank you.
Your mic's on. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Look, I am applying for annual leave effective tomorrow. I'll just give a little bit of background. I am currently trying to finish off a uni degree. I'm completely overworked. I'm also applying for my teacher's registration, doing full-time uni, and I'm a placement in a school. So I'm not in the best shape, as the mayor's rightfully pointed out a couple of times tonight. But I really feel that I'm a big believer in doing things well. And at the moment, I can't do both. And I have a folder here of half my assignments that I need to do in the next 5 weeks. So all 30 of them is going to be lots of fun. So I can assure everyone I'm not taking a holiday. I'm just going away to put my head down, bum up and finish my teacher's reg, my uni and deal with my 4 kids.
Excellent. Good. We fully support you doing that. I'm sure. I'll put the motion now just to confirm that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much and good luck with all your study. Councillor Chu, did you have an item?
Yeah, I do. Sorry. I wondered if I can actually ask a question in this time.
If the question, so this time on the agenda is for urgent business. So if your question is relating to something you might want to raise to test if it is urgent business, that question is allowed.
Yeah, okay, thank you. As we would have seen on the weekend, there's been brown foam and issues to marine wildlife in the Waipinga area. And there's been reports of it potentially being in Moana. And this has only come to my attention in the last 48 hours, 24 hours. And it's sort of kicking off a lot tonight. And I just wondered if council staff had an update or any information in relation to that and potentially what our role might be with something like that.
Okay, I'll just check whether we've had, I don't believe we've had anything. So perhaps outside of this meeting, you can follow up directly with the appropriate officers.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, item 14 is going to be confidential items. We have none. I'm going to close the meeting but ask you all to stay for a moment because I'm going to ask the deputy to come forward and ask our director over there behind us, David Stobie. Yes, we can close the meeting. We have closed the meeting.